Hello, I'm Richard Vobes, the Bald Explorer, and this is my Sunday chat. Welcome along. This is a chance for me to look back at some of the things that I've been up to in the last week and things that we've got coming up. So you may remember the week started off at the Battle of Sheraton in Hampshire with the lovely Julian Humphreys. A lot of great response to that, where we went up and looked at one of the battles and early in the English Civil War between the Roundheads and the Cavaliers. And as I say, a lot of response to the fact that Julian was with me, who's incredibly knowledgeable and puts over the stories of battles very well. He works for the Battlefield Trust and he knows these battles inside and out. And I've actually spoken to him since and said, would you be up for doing some more? And fingers crossed, he will be. So we're hoping to do some more of these walks, which will be fantastic. Went to Oldland Mill as well in the week, and the video came out and has also had a lot of interest, which is fantastic. Now, you'll be pleased to know that the recent storm that we've had two in England. The first one that we had, a lot of people were concerned whether the mill had survived or not the storm, and I'm pleased to be able to tell you that yes, it did. I spoke to Fred, who took me round, and he said yeah, it was all good. Now, as I record this on the Saturday, we're supposed to be having the second storm, so fingers crossed that it was okay. Now, I know that there was another windmill, I think in Lincolnshire, I'm not quite sure, or Yorkshire or somewhere, that had a disastrous result at the end of the storm. So let's hope that none of the Sussex windmills, or any of them to be fair, have any more damage coming to them. One of the other highlights of the week was Kim's Herbal walk. Kim Murden, who has set up now her YouTube channel. I'll put a link in the description here as she gets going. She took the lovely Julia and I out on a walk over the Sussex Downs near Lewes, and we had a fantastic time looking at not only the history but also some of the plants that are just coming up or are available at the moment. So that was wonderful to do that, and Kim has promised that she'll take us out in the spring when there are a lot more, and we'll do more on herbal remedies and those sort of things. It's a fascinating part of nature, which is what the Bald Explorer is about: landscape, heritage and nature. So looking forward to doing more of that. And as I say, do support Kim. A lot of people said, oh, we could listen to Kim, her voice is very melodic and we like listening to her, so do support her on her channel, which is brilliant. I went out into the woods near Fairmile Bottom, which is a lovely name, close to Arundel in West Sussex, and I've pitched the idea of doing 5 days in a woodland. Now, as soon as I pitched this concept, the lovely Julia was straight onto me and twisted my arm and said, hey, you're not going in a wood for 5 days without taking me. She's a tree hugger, loves her trees. She said, that's just heaven. I'd have to put up with you, Vobes, but to be amongst the trees and to be making videos and sharing our thoughts on it would be amazing. So I said, yep, okay, that sounds great. We'll bring Joseph. Now, it's interesting because a lot of people have said, oh, but Richard, you mentioned that you would stay in an Airbnb, and that's not the same as really experiencing a woods. You've got to go wild camping, and that's the only way to do it. And other people have suggested you could get, cheap equipment from army surplus and all that sort of stuff. Now, what I want to make clear about this project is it's a filmmaking project. Yes, I want to be immersed amongst the trees and experience it, but also I'm a filmmaker first. I need to be able to charge up the laptops. I need to keep all the equipment dry. I want to have access to the internet so I can upload the content as I go. I also don't want to be in a position where I'm wet and worrying about being wet and cold and not having a change of clothes or sufficient clothes, or not eating sufficiently to do the job that I'm there to do. And part of the job is to look at different aspects of wood. It's not about surviving. I'm not going there to survive in the woodland. I'm going there to look at the insects, to look at the wildlife, to look at the state of the trees, to identify some of the trees, to talk about the history and the importance of some of the trees, to get that emotional connection with it. So it's not about trying to just be in a wood and survive living in the wild. So it's a completely different thing. I appreciate that people do like wild camping, and maybe I'll do that on a different project, but this would be something completely different. So I just thought I'd make that quite clear. One of the things that we've had is we've had quite a lot of rain recently, and I've been saying, oh, you know, I can't go out in the rain because I don't want water on the lens. And people had said, oh, but Richard, you know, you should be an all-weather walker. And if I'm just walking for myself, I don't care about the rain. Okay, the rain goes on my glasses, but generally I don't really mind. However, I thought, oh, well, just to prove this, to make people understand, I'll go out in the rain and show you what happens. I can have the camera waterproof, but it's water on the lens which can get all blotchy and destroy the picture. Now, I have made some television stuff, and I've made a lot of corporate stuff, and there you wouldn't tolerate rain on the lens on corporate stuff because you would be cleaning the lens and you'd do everything to protect it. But of course, part of the YouTube thing is the visceral experience of actually the person doing the stuff, and people seem to be quite happy to tolerate a certain lack of quality in terms of filming quality with YouTube. So I thought, let's go and see what it's like if I'm out in the rain, and this will prove why I don't do it. Well, conversely, and in some ways annoyingly, I was proved wrong, which actually is quite good because it showed that you can go out in the rain, certainly with something like a GoPro, which is waterproof anyway, but actually although the raindrops were hitting the lens, they would also wash away a bit. So it wasn't so bad. And it's funny because even an experienced filmmaker like myself can learn something from that actually, where I would normally be a bit pedantic and would be constantly trying to keep the lens clean and worried about it, actually it added to the video. You know, as long as you're making the rain a feature, if you're trying to pretend the rain isn't there and you're not getting wet, then that's where it's a problem. But if you let the rain be a feature and you say, yeah, it's wet and it's raining, and the rain hits the lens, it didn't seem to matter. So I learned something myself from that, which is fantastic. I love learning stuff, so that was really good. Towards the end of the week, I took you into my live streaming studio, which I had built in the back room. If you haven't seen that, it shows you how I, not so much everything and on a technical level of how you plug it together, but just sort of gives you a basic tour around to show you the sort of stuff and some of the amazing stuff that some of my viewers have sent in, including the neon signs, which really make the studio work really well. And I do something called the Vobes show, which is a sort of a light entertainment thing with a lot of feedback and chat really to an audience who have nothing better to do on a Monday, Wednesday and Friday evening at 8 o'clock. And we just have a bit of fun really on different subjects, and that's all it is. But sometimes I use that studio also for Bald Explorer stuff. So I just wanted to show off what I had, and also it was another wet, miserable day and I didn't want to do a second rain video. So that was that. So coming up now, a lot of people, I'm trying to encourage more people, of course, to go out and do filming, particularly in the landscape, heritage and nature, and showing off what they have on their doorstep in terms of historic monuments, interesting churches, landscape, nature, etc. And of course, you don't need very much. You can these days just use your phone. But a lot of people have said, but Richard, you know, your videos, although simple, they seem to be well edited. And I thought, well, perhaps what I should do is run a video editing course for beginners, just to nudge people, to just make them think about their projects a little bit more. I'm not asking them to become professional editors or get to any particular standard, but I think if you understand the edit process when you're filming, it will help your filming approach a lot better. So I'm going to be doing perhaps a number of these live streamed so people can ask questions, and the first one will be on the Bald Explorer YouTube channel on Tuesday the 18th of February. So if you've watched this afterwards, you've missed it, but there will be others, just keep an eye out for them, at 8 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time. So just tune into that, how you would do on a live show, and I'll be there just demonstrating. Now, you don't really need to know anything about the software for this, because I'm mainly talking about the principles, how I edit. I'm not saying I'm an expert. I haven't edited big feature films, but I've edited corporate stuff, I've edited documentary stuff, and of course I've edited my YouTube stuff. So I've got some experience, and I do it every single day. Every day I'm editing something for the next day's video, generally. So I'm not really going to talk about the workflow as such, but more about the decisions and the philosophy and things to think about and pointers. And also look at some of your work, or people that have given me some of their work, to constructively criticize, but in a positive way, not in a negative way. So that will be good. And on Monday, going forward, which is a phrase I hate saying and it slipped into my consciousness there, Monday's video, the lovely Julia and I walk over, I think it's called Southernham or Southam, I can't remember, Southam Farm. It's a Sussex Wildlife Trust place, reserve, and lots of ground nesting birds, although we don't really get to see them. We went up there on a fairly overcast day and had a lovely walk. So that's a video coming up for Monday. And later on I've got an interview with the Sussex Wildlife Trust, where they're going to take me around their headquarters, I think it's Oldland Mill in Small Dole, and talk about the reserves that they have and the things they've got. Lots of stuff to do coming up in the future, so watch this space. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this. This has just been my little Sunday chat to catch up with you. I must crack on with my edit now. Thank you for watching. Please, if you enjoy my videos and would care to see more of them, you might consider becoming a patron. It really does help just to put the petrol in the car. There's many YouTube channels who they just do them at home. They sit and they talk, and perhaps they're reviewing politics or the news, or they're just doing the research online. I actually have to go to places and put petrol in the car, and we've got trips further afield later on in the year when it warms up. So if you become a patron, it really just helps me do that. Check it out, baldexplorer.com, and ways to do that, or just make a simple donation. Don't forget to press the bell notification, subscribe, give me a thumbs up if you've enjoyed the video, and I'll see you out and about on the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye bye for now. Bye bye.